Hi, this is William. Welcome to FlySpoke. And today I want to go through a pretty basic tube fly situation. I make my own setups using two different companies' tubes, and I want to show you exactly how to do that. But basically this fly is pretty much a black bear green butt configuration with the green and black color, just done a little bit different way, and I'm going to show you how to set up this entire fly. So basically what I do is I have this is a really simple a holding device. Put it in the vise, and all it does is holds a tapered mandrel for me. There's more sophisticated vices. You can purchase a vise that specifically holds these mandrels without having to use an adapter, of course, but I just don't have one. So anyway, basically this is what I'm going to wind up with for the tube. And it's a tube within a tube, and I'm tying what is directly on the junction tube. The junction tube is the entire length, and then there's just a sleeve insert. You can see, I'm sure you can see it in the camera. It ends right here, and that's inside the entire junction tube. Now, the tubes that I use, this one here is the inner, and that's a small tube, and that's made by Humor. Okay? They call that the small rigid tube, and it comes in a number of different colors. Then this here is what HMH calls their small rigid tube, but it's plenty flexible enough to be a junction tube. So basically what I do is I start off by flaming, holding it straight up in the air, what's going to be the junction tube, and I just create a lip on the front that I can tie up against. Okay? And I'm just I'll trim that so that that's going to become the back. And that's going to be my entire tube right there that I tie on. Now, I do like to just touch the back of these tubes with the flame. It shines it up a little bit, but not enough to flare it. So then I'm going to take what's going to be the inner tube, and I'm simply going to slide that in. Now, it's very tight fit, but so long as you're not squeezing down on the larger junction tube, you can slide it in right to where you want it to go, leaving the appropriate amount of junction for the hook to slide in. Okay, so I'm almost there, but so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it in the front, leaving just a tiny little bit so that I can then take my flame and I'm going to just turn that one. Just ever so slightly turn that. Then I'm going to push on my table here so that I can completely push it in. And what I get is a tube within a tube, and it makes for a wonderful tying platform. And basically there's my tying platform. So I'm just going to switch out the one I just made for the color I want for this particular fly. So what I have is the tube within a tube system. Now I'm going to start using sheer black thread, because nowhere in this fly you're going to see will there be anything showing through in the black. And I start my thread right on the location where the two tubes are meeting inside. And the first item, I'm taking a fluorescent chartreuse marabou feather for the fly. I'm simply going to lay that on, let it spin around so I get 360, and I'm going to get a 360 tail you know, similar to the way you'd put on a tail for a woolly bugger. And just trim that on angles. And I'll just go and clean it up, move back on. And here's the next thing, and I'm going to then I'll show you the reason I say I can get away with the black thread. I'm going to take some small size silver wire, use it as a ribbing. You can use, you know, regular ribbing materials if you like, French twist and things like that. Let that hang over to the side right there. Now, here's the reason why I say I can get away with, even though I'm going to be tying a floss butt on this fly, I'm going to tie in a piece of holographic silver tinsel right here. And this is a suggestion that I got from a fellow on my YouTube channel. And he said what he heard was that if you were to put tinsel underneath a floss body or a floss butt, silver, it actually makes the floss glow when it's wet. So I'm taking his advice, thank you so much, and I'm going to do that. Now I'm going to take my fluorescent green. This is Uni Stretch. And I'm going to go ahead and lay that in, grab it down, and now I'm just going to put my Uni Stretch. You know, generally I would use light color threads because it is an issue when these flosses get wet. If you've got a dark underneath on the floss, let me tell you something, the change in the color when your fly gets wet is dramatic. So I'm taking this advice to heart and doing that extra step, and we'll see when I get to fish these flies. I'll look at them, I'll see what they look like in the water, but for now I'm believing. Alright, so I'm just going to tie that off there. And let's neaten up a bit, get rid of all the excess things here. Okay, wires hanging. Okay, the next thing is I am going to take from a saddle, I am going to take a feather. It has a lot of dimension to it. It's very thin, short barbules at the tip, and pretty webby stuff at the back. And right now, I'm just going to use the tip. And from the tip, I'm going to tie the feather in just over the top. I'm just going to tie it in right there and advance my thread now right to the front and come back a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take Uni Stretch in black, and I'm going to take out a piece about, I'd say it's about at least 2 feet long, and I'm going to double over the Uni Stretch. Match up the ends as best as possible, and we're going to flip this in. Tighten it and hold. Alright. Little bit of head cement right here. And I'm should have put the head cement underneath the green floss as well. It really makes a difference in the longevity of the fly. And we're just going to put on the body nice and neatly, right to butting up against the green. Uni-stretch floss really makes a nice smooth body for you. Alrighty. Alright. Let me catch that once or twice, bending it back. It's always a good idea to bend everything back that you can. It's not going to make too big a bump. And now I'm going to get the wire. We'll put the wire on with a nice even. Try to make some nice even turns for the rib. Okay, and even your wire. We will cover and turn back. Okay. And now I want to take my hackle and just rub your scissor down the stem, and it'll force them to fold back for you. I'll make one turn there. And now just follow right behind the rib. Follow behind the rib, and that'll help protect the stem. And I'm removing out. I was looking at this fly, the last one I tied, and I said, boy, there's a fly all by itself. If a green machine will work. I said, there you go, there's a nice fly. But we'll continue. Next, I'm going to take some Arctic fox, and great material swimming in the water, Arctic fox. Trim out some. And the first thing I want to do to the Arctic fox, I want to look at it, see which way it's bending, so that when I put it on, I'm going to have a real nice bend to it. And I'm going to take my fingers, and I'm going to push the top and pull the bottom, just like that. I'll do it again. I want the underneath to be a little shorter than the top, because that's going to give me a nice shape. Alright, and then I'll take that, I have formed that, and I'm going to keep it in position, know where it is with my fingers, take my brush, and I'm brushing the Arctic fox hairs. It makes a big difference if you brush or you don't brush. all these different types of hares, fin raccoon, Arctic fox, all these hares, they have a much better appearance as well as function if they're made a little bit softer. Alright, so that's going to go right to there, and I'm going to trim it blunt. Make sure everything is out, all the little stuff out of your way. Okay, thread is at the back of where the head's going to be. I'm going to lay this flat right on, loose, pull down tight. Make sure everything is in there, nice and tight, right there. And we'll advance forward. Let's get this out of the way. Just giving a little bit of a trim on that stuff to even it out. I want to make sure I'm straight on the top. I push down side to side to widen out the thickness of the wing. You don't want the wing sitting up straight on top. You want it to have some width. Now let's just run our thread. Turn next to turn as best you can. Right to the front. And then go straight right back to the back of the wing. Alright, so now let's just take a peek at that. Make sure it's in there pretty well. Flatten it. And if you really want to make a nice, any wing that you want to make ride a little lower, take both your fingers like this, you hold the top of the wing, you put your thumb right on the front of the fly, and you push everything, you push the wing forward, and that actually lays it down even better. Any kind of wing, even feather wings and things like that, are going to lay nice and smooth for you. You notice I didn't put a dubbing ball under this to raise the wing up. It can, a lot of Scandinavian stuff, what they do is they put on a reverse wing so that it creates a dubbing ball so that the wing actually will stand high up like that. Okay, now I'm going to go back and I'm going to take that feather that we used for the hackle underneath, the body hackle. I'm going to take that feather and I'm going to trim on the front so that it just kind of makes little indentations there. And you can choose right now if you like. You can choose to put a spay hackle on here if you like this one right here. Take a more aggressive, longer hackle and put it on. And I'm just going to tie that right here. I put it on backwards. Let's tie it in the correct way. Alright, and then I'm going to take one strand of mirror crinkle flash, and this is in peacock black. And I'm going to lay one strand up the wing like this, and bring it down and around to the other side. Up on top, or I'm going to grab it again, And I'm going to have those, just those two pieces running to the back of the fly. Alright, let's hold this all back. Tighten up and neaten up on the head. Now I want to take this hackle and bend back. Alright, now let's get rid of this. Okay, and now just a couple of jungle cock nails. I'm going to have these follow the wing, shape of the wing. Right. Alright. Yeah, just throw a little head cement. Fly like this, I'll put on at least 3, if not 4 coats, 4 applications of head cement. It's a pretty common coloration for up on Gas Bay or Miramichi in the fall, anything like that, New England. I mean in New Brunswick or Nova Scotia, any place you can get away with this fly. It's a great color combination. It's a green butt micro tube. There it is.